ignition, 2, 1.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
America has launched. So rises a new era of American spaceflight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream.
Ignition.
And resilience rises. Not even gravity contains humanity when we explore as one for all.
Yeah, we are definitely continuing to keep an eye on the weather. If it does cooperate, this will be the third Dragon flight to the space station this year, and also the third cargo respawn mission with an upgraded Dragon. Following a successful launch, this Dragon will be joining the Crew vehicle Endeavour, currently on orbit and attached to the International Space Station. For now, let's take a closer look at the vehicles out on the pad. On screen right now is a view of Dragon, and that is a view of Falcon 9 underneath it. It is a reusable two-stage rocket designed and manufactured by SpaceX. The bottom two-thirds of the vehicle is the first stage. Its objective is to accelerate the vehicle through
Старт состоится примерно через 12,5 минут. Ожидаем какой-то информации. Сейчас идет на данный момент заправка ракеты. Посадка будет выполняться на новую платформу Shuttle Gravitas. Сейчас, 5 секунд. Так вот. Что-то делают. Я так понимаю, тестируют систему пожаротушения на платформе.
To this day, Dragon remains the only spacecraft currently flying that's capable of transporting significant amounts of cargo to and from the Earth. So that's a little bit about our Dragon and Falcon 9 vehicles. Back to you, Megan.
Thank you, Andy. And now I want to bring in Joshua Santora, also with NASA Communications. Joshua, can you walk us through yesterday's weather concerns and again, just how
Сейчас
much
скажет
better
про
it's looking
погоду.
today?
Yeah, Megan, as you said, it is looking so much better today. Appreciate that. And so yesterday we had a lot of concerns happening really close to launch. And as is the case with all weather
Вчера нам
concerns, it just
помешала
takes time to
погода
get past them.
запустить
And that's what we
ракету.
saw yesterday is we didn't have enough time.
Сегодня получше.
And so we were concerned about things that either actual natural lightning or generating lightning as we flew through the atmosphere.
Хочу напомнить то, что это 21-й запуск в этом году. Это 23-я миссия по снабжению МКС. Повторный полет корабля Crew Dragon. 4-й полет первой ступени. И первая посадка на новую платформу Commercial Resupply
Services-2. That report coming from the Space Launch Delta 45 folks with the Space Force. Appreciate Launch Weather Officer Brian Cizik walking us through that. And then the range taking care of public health and safety as well. The land around the launch pad, the water over which we fly, the air we fly through, and the space we're headed to, doing the collision on launch avoidance assessments, and those all look clear. So we are on track for our liftoff on time at 3:49 a.m. Eastern Time.
Скорее всего, взлет произойдет в назначенное время.
Currently traveling at 17,500 miles an hour, and we're set to rendezvous and dock tomorrow morning, Monday, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, with our coverage beginning at about 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So, Megan, technically really quiet, weather looking really solid. Everything is go at this moment. That's it for now. Back to you.
I'm loving your update, Joshua. Thanks for that. All right, T-minus 10 minutes to launch now.
Нравится
How about we take a look
обновление
at some of the
погоды.
science flying to station today?
What do ants, plants, a remote implant, and brine shrimp all have in common? They're all part of investigations sponsored by the International Space Station U.S. National Laboratory, launching on SpaceX's 23rd Commercial Resupply Services mission. Moreover, these projects...
Так, сейчас рассказывают о полезной нагрузке на борту. А я вам тоже расскажу, только на русском. В себя вмещает в данный момент корабль около 2 тонн чистого груза. В общем, 2 тонны грузов. 1 тонна научных исследований. Полтонны припасов для экипажа. 300 килограммов оборудования для станции. 10 килограммов оборудования для выхода в открытый космос. И 24 оборудования для российского сегмента. Будут проведены несколько экспериментов по защите костей в условиях космоса. Далее, сейчас демонстрируют вроде бы защита сетчатки глаза. Вроде бы. Также будет доставлен робот-помощник, но он, скорее всего, будет находиться в корабле, я так понимаю. Также будут испытаны растения. Стрессоустойчивость растений, как космос и отсутствие гравитации влияет на растения.
Our mission overview page at issnationallab.org.
All very interesting and really a wide variety of science. Researchers use
Все так интересно, наука настолько
to hopefully uncover ways to
обширна
improve
в
human
данной
spaceflight
миссии.
or how we do things here on Earth. Some of today's experiments were loaded onto Dragon just right before yesterday's launch attempt. You can see video there of what we call
Полезная нагрузка
that
была
late
загружена
phase.
за день
Each person
до
is
запуска.
carefully handling the
Это получается
time-sensitive experiments
позавчера.
that needed to be packed into Dragon as close to launch as possible. But what happens to the science once it arrives at the space station? Let's take a look at a special tour we shot just for you guys with the astronauts on board.
Сейчас будет специальный тур от астронавтов на борту
Hello and
МКС.
welcome aboard the International Space Station. I'm
Здравствуйте,
NASA
добро
astronaut Megan
пожаловать
MacArthur,
на
along with my crewmate Shane
борт
Kimbrough.
космической
We
станции.
are
Это
getting
я,
ready
Меган
for the
МакАртур,
SpaceX
астронавт
23
НАСА.
cargo mission coming up soon, and we're very excited. It's going to be keeping us pretty busy.
Hey Megan, let's go show them around the space station a little bit, and we'll show you where some of these experiments are going to be done.
Они рассказывают то, что у них
Welcome to the European
достаточно
module called
много
Columbus. This is where a lot of the
экспериментов на борту
SpaceX
проводится.
experiments are going to hang out. One of those is called Apex
Если
8, which is
мне
going to
не
study the
послышалось,
response to
43
stressors at the
эксперимента
genetic level of
в данный
plants.
момент
They're going
находится.
to be really small plants in petri dishes that we're going to eventually put into this
Эксперимент
facility
над
here that's
очень
called
маленькими
Veggie, the Veggie
растениями.
Plant Growth Facility.
Проверяют,
My
как
last flight,
они
I got to grow lettuce
растут
in here, and we
и
got to actually harvest
прорастают
that and eat it, so that's
и
pretty cool.
созревают в
One of
условиях
the things we're trying to
невесомости,
do is to learn how to engineer plants to grow better in microgravity. And what
чтобы
we
в
learn from that will
дальнейшем
be able to
это
help us
помогло
in the
в
future in space travel, but also help
колонизации
people on
Марса
Earth grow
и
things
других
better.
планет.
This isn't the only facility we have on the International Space Station to grow things. We have an advanced plant habitat, and currently we're growing chili peppers in there, which we hope to harvest towards the end of our mission.
Если я не
So now
ошибаюсь,
we're in the
это
U.S. laboratory, which is called Destiny, and this is one
перцы
of our
чили у
main
них растут
areas
там.
for conducting science on the International Space
Перец
Station.
чили.
One of the things that makes the International Space Station such a versatile research lab are the express racks. There's a couple of them right here over my head, and the cool thing
Большой
about these is that it
экспресс,
allows different researchers from around the world to send up their own payload, and the express rack provides the power and data,
Сюда
cooling, whatever
помещается
that
научное
particular
оборудование.
payload needs. One of the new
Специальные
facilities that
ниши.
will be coming up on SpaceX 23 cargo mission is called the Faraday Research Facility, and it's able to house 4 different experiments at once. 3 of them will house small organisms. The 4th experiment will be a medical experiment to look
Также
at
эта миссия
remote-controlled
доставит
delivery of medication. So that will be
оборудование
an
для
interesting technology
испытания
demonstration as
очень
well. And we'll be able
маленького
to install that facility into one of our
прибора
express racks here in the laboratory.
для слежения за состоянием человека, я так понимаю.
And that was NASA astronauts Megan McArthur and Shane Kimbrough aboard the International Space Station. And welcome to the International Space Station Flight Control Room. I am
Нас
Sheila
приветствует
live at the Johnson Space Center here in Houston, Texas. The
Канаверал,
team of flight controllers at
является
Mission Control Houston today is
комментатором
being led by
НАСА
Flight
из
Director Rebecca Wingfield. Teams here at Mission Control
Центра
will
управления
really jump
полетом.
into action tonight into early Monday morning as Cargo Dragon approaches the International Space Station. There are currently 7 crew members living and working aboard the station. Expedition 65
На данный момент
consists of NASA astronauts
на станции
Shane
живет 7
Kimbrough,
человек.
Megan McArthur, and Mark Vandehei, Roscosmos cosmonauts Pyotr Dubrov and Oleg Novitsky, Aki Hoshide of JAXA, and Thomas Pesquet of the European Space Agency. As Crew Dragon approaches the International Space Station in the morning hours on August 30th, NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur will be monitoring the arrival from the station's cupola.
За кораблем будут следить Шейн Кимбер и Меган МакАртур, которая она проводила экскурсию небольшой по МКС. Будет он состыковываться рядом с Crew 2.
Great, Shaniqua, thanks. Let's get one last status update from Andy and Joshua before the final moments of the countdown. Guys?
Thanks, Megan. We are about T-minus 3.5 minutes until liftoff. The
Осталось
SpaceX
3,5
team is working
минуты
no
до
significant
взлета.
issues. Right now, we are expecting the strongback to be reclining
В то
away from
время
the
у нас
rocket
уже
to its pre-launch
немного
position,
отодвинулась
about 2 degrees away from
стартовая
Falcon 9,
инфраструктура,
in
а
order to
также
prepare for
начинают
liftoff.
охлаждаться
That
двигатели,
strongback is
как мы
part of
видим.
the transporter erector. You can see on screen right now, it's starting to recline away from Falcon 9.
Отодвигается инфраструктура для дальнейшего быстрого ее отвода во время взлета.
At this point, RP-1 fuel is completely loaded on the second stage and nearly completely loaded on the first stage. Liquid oxygen loading is currently
Вторая и
underway
первая ступень полностью заправлены.
both stages and will complete around the T-minus 2-minute mark. In these last few minutes, Falcon 9 is performing final health checks on its primary communications, avionics, and propulsion systems in preparation for
Сейчас
flight.
последние проверки авионики.
Health checks, and we did hear the call out at T-minus 5 minutes for internal power. Switch to internal power, meaning it's living on its own, apart from ground support systems, which is great. We're also expecting right now the checkouts of the second stage thrust vector control actuators are underway. This is what we affectionately refer to as the engine wiggle test. Not very technical, but definitely kind of describes what we're talking about. We're moving the nozzles of those engines on the engine on the second stage to ensure we have control for the uphill climbing and navigating that vehicle. That's just part of making sure the guidance hardware is go for flight. SpaceX will do the exact same thing for all of the first stage engines just a few seconds before ignition. all of this in preparation for our
Не
rendezvous
дают
at
мне
space station
сказать.
tomorrow morning. And space station right now we're on approach for. We're catching up to.
Сейчас проводятся проверки второй ступени.
Dragon is in auto idle.
And we just heard the call out that LOX load has been completed. That will wrap up propellant loading for the vehicle. You can start to see some white clouds forming around Falcon 9 and Dragon.
Как мы видим по белым облакам, заправка полностью произведена. В данный момент сбрасывается избыточное давление в баках. Сейчас Cargo Dragon перейдет на собственное питание.
Excuse me, as Dragon finalizes its preparations and the team verifies we'll go for launch.
Перешел на собственное питание.
Falcon 9's in startup. Dragon is in countdown.
Falcon 9 в стартовой позиции.
Both stages are now pressurizing for launch. Range and weather should both be good to go.
Falcon 9, CRS-23, go for launch.
Falcon 9, миссия по снабжению KS-23, готова к полету. Осталось полминуты.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds.
Меньше 15 секунд осталось.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
Cargo Dragon takes flight, continuing a busy year of deliveries to a crew of 7 aboard the International Space Station.
И миссия CRS-23 запущена к Международной космической станции.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
Давление в норме. Немножко выдержка на кавере большая. Я так понимаю, выдержка очень большая, поэтому мы не видим ракету, а видим пятно светящееся. На этой камере уже поменьше выдержка, и мы видим чисто пламя. Проходит сквозь облака, поэтому ее не видно.
50 seconds into flight. Falcon 9 has cleared the tower and is currently headed to space. In about 15 seconds here, we're coming up on max Q. This is where the vehicle will experience the highest amount of aerodynamic pressures. And there was the call out for max Q. We actually throttled down the Merlin engines in preparation for that event. Coming up are 5 more events in rapid succession. Main engine cutoff, stage separation, first stage flip, second engine start 1, and then the boost back burn on this first stage will begin. Main engine cutoff, also known as MECO, is where all 9 M1D engines on the Falcon 9 first stage will shut down. This is followed by stage separation, or the separation of the first and second stages. From there, the first stage will flip.
Сейчас ожидают в скорейшем времени охлаждения двигателя второй ступени, отключение двигателя первой ступени, отвод первой ступени и включение двигателя первой ступени для возвращения обратно на Землю и включение двигателя второй ступени.
That is the first of 3 burns needed to land on our drone ship today.
Всего ей нужно 3 зажигания для посадки на платформу в океане.
The first of those 5 events, main engine cutoff, is coming up in about 10 seconds.
Через 10 секунд отключатся основные двигатели. И будет произведено отсоединение ступеней.
Main engine cutoff.
Включение двигателя первой ступени. Есть отвод первой ступени от второй. Включение двигателя второй ступени.
Invac ignition.
Произведено успешно. Boost back burn выполняет первая ступень для возврата на Землю.
Okay, those were those 5 events. A lot happening on screen. main engine cut off, stage separation. The first stage performed a flip. Second stage on the right-hand side of your screen ignited its Merlin vacuum engine.
Справа мы
And on
видим,
the left-hand
как
side of the
Merlin
screen, we're in the
Vacuum
middle
выполняет
of that
работу
first
по
stage
выходу
boost
на
back
орбиту.
burn. Looks like we are getting some really cool views.
Очень красивые кадры.
Contrails being produced by the first stage. And that was the call out for the successful completion of our first of 3 burns on the first stage.
Первое зажигание выполнено, осталось еще 2.
Of the 23rd Commercial Resupply Mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 21st mission this year, and this is the cargo configuration of our Dragon
24-я миссия SpaceX, напоминает нам комментатор за год. И 23-я миссия по снабжению КС. 21-я поправочка. А, нет. 21-й запуск. Поправочка небольшая.
And as we ascend, we tilt the engines. That turns the rockets horizontally. Now we're still going up, but we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad in what we call a gravity turn. The rocket typically needs to go about 7.5 kilometers per second or 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get into orbit.
Скорость падает у первой ступени, которая возвращается на Землю, у второй ступени скорость растет.
On screen again is the view of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage.
В данный момент на экране у нас вакуумная версия двигателя Merlin, которая в данный момент работает для выхода на орбиту.
Re-entry burn for the first stage. That's the second of 3 burns.
Через несколько секунд будет выполнен энтри-берн по входу в атмосферу для легкого входа в атмосферу без звукового удара на ракету, чтобы не разрушить ее. Примерно через минуту будет выполнена посадка. Или через 1,5. Сейчас будет вхождение в атмосферу, плотный слой атмосферы и зажигание двигателей для подавления звукового удара. Давление во второй ступени нормальное.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
Entry burn startup. Включение двигателя первой ступени для входа в атмосферу.
And there is the beginning of the entry burn. 3 Merlin engines have relit and are currently slowing down.
3 двигателя Merlin включены для входа в атмосферу и корректировки дальнейшего курса на платформу. Двигатели выключились. Второй запуск двигателей из 3 выполнен.
This really puts into perspective the deceleration. In the span of less than a minute, we'll have reduced the speed from the speed of a jet all the way down to 0 as the rocket lands.
Напоминаю, что для посадки нужна скорость 0
And again, this
метров
is our brand new drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas.
Сейчас будет выполнена посадка первая посадка на плавучую платформу Shortfall Gravitas, новая платформа SpaceX. Буквально считанные секунды до лендинга.
Stage 1, landing burn startup.
Landing burn startup. Включение двигателя для посадки.
The center engine number 9 has relit in preparation for landing.
Очень сильно тормозит картинка.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
Посадочные опоры выпущены. И есть посадка. Первая ступень. Да?
Stage 1, landing
confirmed. Не видно. Да. Первая ступень. Успешно
And that
приземлена
is the
на новую
90th
платформу.
successful landing
Хорошо
for an orbital class
получается.
rocket, and the very first for our new drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. That is a beautiful thing to see, and a great way to start off today's mission.
Идеальная посадка с сегодняшней
Next event coming
миссии.
up is for the second stage. The Merlin vacuum engine will
Сейчас
shut
будет
off its engine in an
отключение
event called
двигателя
second engine cutoff, also known as SECO.
второй ступени.
And
В
shortly after
дальнейшем
SECO,
будет отсоединение
we'll be entering a coast phase
карго
and
Драгона.
waiting for that confirmation of a good orbit.
SECO.
Отключение двигателей второй ступени. И буквально через 1,5 минуты будет отделение Драгона.
Of both SECO, second engine cutoff, and a nominal orbital insertion. Now, the second stage has one last major task, and that is commanding separation of Dragon a couple of minutes from now. Again, this is the second flight for this particular Dragon and the first reuse of our upgraded cargo vehicle.
Это первый
We should
полет,
have video of Dragon
точнее,
separation from the
второй
top of the
полет
second stage.
обновленной
It'll
версии
give us a
карго
nice view
Драгона.
into Dragon's unpressurized cargo trunk.
Это впервые, когда летает повторно новая версия его.
And when this Dragon makes its way to the International Space Station, it will be joining the Crew 2 vehicle Endeavour, currently on orbit and attached to the International Space Station. It's going to be super cool to see two Dragons docked to the International Space Station once again. And again, for cargo, we will be delivering over 4,800 pounds of science, research, crew supplies, and vehicle hardware to the orbiting laboratory and its crew.
Карго Драгон
This
доставит
includes the
около
brine
2
shrimps
тонн.
and ants that we had talked about earlier in the
Около 2 тонн
broadcast.
полезной нагрузки для
Now, the
МКС.
science and research being done in microgravity on the International
В
Space Station
эту
has
полезную нагрузку
benefited our lives here on
включаются
Earth for
даже
decades. What's
живые
really cool is that
организмы.
our new cargo Dragon vehicle is also
Если я не
able to
ошибаюсь,
act
это
as a
креветки
laboratory in the advancement of this
или
science
мелкие
and research.
рачки
We call this capability extend the lab.
для проверки
It allows some powered payloads to
жизнеспособности
remain on
в
Dragon for
условиях нулевой
experimentation during the
гравитации.
duration of the mission. This is especially helpful when there is limited to no space on station for additional science, and it also helps cut down the amount of time the crew has to move payloads in and out of Dragon. For CRS-23, there are 3 Extend the Lab payloads launching with the mission, and once docked, a 4th, which is currently already on the space station, will be added to Dragon. So we are about a minute away from
Сейчас будет
that separation from Dragon from the
произведена
second stage.
отстыковка Драгона от второй
Enjoying some
ступени.
views of the second stage Merlin vacuum engine. We can talk a little bit about the upgrades that have been made to Dragon. The first is solar arrays. Typically after separation, we wait for solar arrays to unfurl from Dragon. This upgraded Dragon has been redesigned, and the solar arrays has its panels built into the trunk section itself, providing power during flight.
Напоминаю, что это обновленная версия карго Драгона, и тут солнечные панели располагаются не в привычном образе, а на самом корпусе корабля.
And will attach it to the International Space Station. Now, Dragon can autonomously dock using a centerline camera and LiDAR, which is an acronym for
Раньше
Light Detection
их
Information
состыковывали
Service.
руки манипулятора Канаверал. В данный момент они сами могут состыковаться благодаря камерам и сканерам LiDAR. Есть отделение карго Драгона.
A great view of Dragon separating from the top of the second stage.
Есть сопротивление воздуха почти до... Частицы воздуха летают до около... Не скажу точную цифру, но они очень высоко поднимаются от земли и все равно замедляют корабль. Houston, Space Center.
Thanks, Andy. Everything is still going well back here in Houston and Mission Control Houston. Right after Dragon separated, it began a series of automatic checkouts, including some small firings of the Draco maneuvering thrusters. The next milestone is the nose cone deploy. The nose cone protects the docking hardware and rendezvous and tracking elements on top of Dragon during ascent. The nose cone deployed uncovers the 4 forward bulkhead thrusters, which Dragon will use for its major burn maneuvers to catch up with the space station.
Будут выполнены маневры по сближению с МКС.
To provide some additional protection to that same hardware during re-entry.
Стыкуха вроде бы запланирована на завтрашний день, если я не ошибаюсь. Ждем подтверждения, когда будут рассоединено крепление носового конуса для защиты стыковочного механизма.
And if you're just joining us, we're in Mission Control Houston currently, and we're waiting for the confirmation of nose cone deploy for Cargo Dragon.
Хьюстон получил данные о отсоединении конуса. Так.
And as we still wait, we do have a special guest. Now joining me on the phone is manager of the International Space Station Systems Engineering and Integration Office, Jeff Aaron.
На телефоне Джефф
Jeff, can
Арден,
you outline the major activities for the crew with CRS-23?
Систем, инженерных систем МКС.
They're going to be extremely busy conducting research. There's more than a metric ton of research arriving with SpaceX 23. Much of which needs to be removed in hours to days to start the science and research mission, because most of which will be completed in the entire 30-day mission while SpaceX is on orbit. And then much of that science needs to return with the vehicle upon its departure. So in addition to the research mission, the crew will be conducting 3 EVAs over a 10-day period of time, 2 EVAs on the Russian...
Так. Произведен отвод корабля от второй ступени. Далее корабль будет сам выводиться на орбиту сближения с МКС. Это будет примерно завтра. Не скажу точно время, но скорее всего это будет поздний вечер. Я еще не читал, во сколько это будет. Сейчас, если найду информацию, то скажу. Стыковка 30 августа. Завтра в 18:00 по московскому времени. Так, а я буду, наверное, на этом заканчивать, потому что мне надо бежать. Всем большое спасибо за этот прекрасный прямой эфир, что вы на нем посидели, поддержали меня, так как это моя всего лишь вторая трансляция по почти синхронному переводу комментаторов SpaceX. Я думаю, вам понравилось. Жду вас еще на ближайших запусках от SpaceX и других компаний. Всем спасибо. Пока-пока.